All right, hey everybody, thanks for tuning in for today's stream. Had a quick make some coffee. It's been a runaway day and happy Friday to everybody. So today's hack and play, I need to pick up a project that I've been working on and things kind of just got busy. So I have been sponsored through Semper IT to work on a lot of Cvcrm modules that integrate with Drupal. Specifically, it started with actually before it was like with my drop wizard too. It was Cvcrm Entity, and then it was a lot of work on webform Cvcrm, and now I'm back on Cvcrm Entity, helping with a lot of the views integration. And we have a test which actually takes fullcalendar to create a calendar list of activities. This doesn't sound too hard, except for the fact that Cvcrm data is in its own database. So we have a view, or Drupal thinks that the remote database has entities that are inside the Drupal system, and the view reads from that database, but then has to do a join onto the Drupal table, and that was actually causing some headaches. That was fixed, but I never finished writing some full test coverage for one of the use cases. So that's what's going to go on today. I need to get everything up and running. I'm in my Cvcrm template. So if I do ddev start, that's one thing too. If you do have a Cvcrm, or if you're going to build a Cvcrm project or you have one locally, you can reference this build. I need to find the URL real quick. Gotta wait for this to run. Let's see if I do git remote v. Let me copy that. So if you're curious on how you can run your, this is a Drupal 9, 8. What is this? Locally, oh, this is Drupal 8.9 in the GitHub, but locally I have 8.9 as well. But if you want to have an example development environment that has has Cvcrm and Drupal all plugged in together, Bluehorn Digital Drupal Cvcrm project, it's got everything configured in a custom testing example. I'm going to push some updates up to this actually, so that way folks have everything that I have, like the testing databases. So let's go ahead and do that fairly quickly. And this also adds the Cvcrm. Add secondary Cvcrm DB to template. Let's go ahead and push that now before I continue to forget, in case anybody thinks this is pretty neat. Okay, those are all random files that don't need to be added. Oh shoot, there's a whole bunch that I didn't push. So let's go ahead and push that. All right, we've got our URL. Let's go ahead and load the site. I don't remember where I left off. I have a ddev database snapshot. DB snapshots, user activity view. Hopefully that's it. We'll wait for the site to load up. Let me make sure. So I have full calendar view, the Cvcrm entity. This is what we're working on. In our module, we have a base view, and in our test, so this entire stream is just going to be working on writing a functional JavaScript test. So we have our view here. It imports, it sets this default module, which means it also needs to import. We also require this module, so that way it installs. All right, so we did, this is up and running. Let's log in. Admin should be the password. Because the one hard part about testing with Cvcrm is that it only uses one database. So, or rather, it doesn't use database prefix tables. Drupal, when it runs its test, needs a database, but it adds a prefix to that, so it doesn't actually affect your main database. Unfortunately, we're running with Cvcrm. It drops the database. but we have some base examples on, let's see, views test somewhere. We leverage two databases. Views test base. Let's see. There's a bug that outlines one bug. Kernel. I do not remember who this is. So 1 second. Let me go to config YAML. DB Cvcrm test. Docker compose env. Testing. Simple test. Here we go. Let's look for this usage of this constant, well, not constant, environment variable. Okay. Contact user relationship test. So this test actually requires the secondary database. Setup. So if test is a separate database, this sets up the secondary database. All right. So like when you run the test, you have to drop the tables and then re-import. And so I haven't run the test yet just to get that going. Because I need to get everything fully mocked up. Like in this case, we need to have a user that has a test field and also some tags attached to it. So let's go ahead and get this all configured. I think we can copy some from here, not in there. Entity views test. Here we go. So let's go ahead and we can copy those config because they are in here. Let's go find our view, or rather, let's do taxonomy. We have tags. So let's export all of this config to our test module. So that way it can be available. So single item, we need to get the taxonomy vocabulary of tags. So we copy the file name here. New file. And unfortunately, there really isn't an easier way to do this. I think Drupal console, the other CLI tool for Drupal, might have a way to export individual config, but I don't know if it would find this test module. So for now, it's just copy it up. So we've got the field, which we need tags on users. In the example that we need to replicate, I forgot to look it back up, but you have a contextual filter based on the tag. So you would say, given this tag, I only want to show users that are tagged this way. So we got tags. This is the field, and then we need the field storage, which is user field tags. So if you're wondering, like in Drupal, like why do we have field and then field storage? We have field storage is like the underlying database storage structure, or that says like, yes, put this in the database. But in Drupal, we have entities and bundles. So every entity could have a different bundle, which is like a different type. Bundle comes from like bundle of fields. So users, there's only one bundle. It's just user. It's bundle lists. But let's say you have nodes and you have page, article, and landing page, whatever. And all three of those have tags. Well, there's one tag storage, but there's different field instances across for each bundle. So that's why there's field and then there's field storage. There's one storage, but there could be multiple instances of that field. If you did D7, they're actually called field instances. So we've got that. Let's go look at our views. So we've copied in the tags, the test field. We have our test here. This adds a contact for this test user. Creates the activity. We need to end up loading this user and associating them with the tag. But let's go see activity full calendar. Perfect. Let's go view this. And there's no activities. Let me go edit the, well, let's see. We can find out when I was last working on this. July 2020, or July 9th. It's been a bit. So let's go ahead and edit this view so I can see where I left it off at. So we can assert that we are on the calendar, and if we click, I thought it would open, maybe it won't. Let's see. Let's go through all the settings because then we can export this as well. So advanced, we don't have a relationship yet on this. So full calendar display, settings, current date, start date field, end date, title field display. Default view is month, first day, allow calendar events to overlap, allow event editing. That's one thing I want to test too, is Karen has shown that if we actually drag this to the 31st, and if we were to actually let's go ahead and drag it to the 7th of August, and we're going to get it all the way to be September 3rd. It's already September 3rd. And if we refresh this page, it actually is updated there. And if we were to open Cvcrm, it's going to edit that activity. So that's one other thing to show off too. This is an activity entity, which is mapped inside of Drupal, but the source data is actually from Cvcrm. So we were able to modify an entity in Drupal, and that data was then synchronized into Cvcrm itself. And you're going to have to pardon me because I have no idea how to navigate Cvcrm. Contact reports, import activities. Like I just want to list all activities, and I don't know how to do that. Contribution, all reports, contact reports. Let's see there. So yeah, so I'm not a big Cvcrm user. I've just done a lot of work, sponsored work, through My Drop Wizard and Semper IT to contribute these modules to get them ready for Drupal 8 and 9. If this option, the description, will show in a dialog once clicking the event. Okay, I want to turn that on. Create new event via the off-canvas dialog. We're not adding that there. I need to update this field because we allow setting colors based on data from the users. So recurring event settings, event bundle type. Let's apply. So if I click this, all right, we're able to get a little pop-up, but I don't know if we need to necessarily test that out. Let's start with, actually what I should start with is finding activity details. Oh, I should have just clicked view results. So we have this set up, imports the view. You just see, I need to Cvcrm entity test base, Cvcrm entity test base. Disable automatic live previews, but isn't that in this base test? It is not. Oh, that little trick is in the so it's in here, but we're not extending that class. So we need to copy that as well. So let's go ahead, add that to the setup. It's going to take me a little bit just to get my bearings again. So I'm going to compare these. So we have the setup. This creates the admin user. We don't need the admin user because we're just viewing, but maybe actually we should. Oh, I didn't even get this. I barely got this set up. let's go see here. So you can see here the meeting September 3rd. So we were able to update this. Let's make it the 10th. So this is one thing we need to test as well. We're going to try testing dragging and dropping. That will be pretty interesting to pull off. I don't know how we'll test that, but I'm pretty sure we can. But we can see here that modifying the calendar updated the activity. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started on these tests. Started to work on it, but didn't copy everything I needed to. Dependency views, that has all the dependencies needed, so I should not need to have that. So create user, let's create an admin user. This is who we'll log in as to view content. We need to enable these entity types. Let's see, we need to create the contact. Create the contact first so that Cvcrm user insert matches the created test user to get the contact automatically associated. That's correct. So what happens is when you have Cvcrm and Drupal integrated, there is the Cvcrm user insert. That did not pull up what I expected. Here we go. Basically, it says, is there an existing contact in Cvcrm? If there is, create a bridge that maps the two. And that's what we assert here. We'll just copy over a bunch of this code. So we save the activity. Because Johnny Appleseed needs to meet about the new seeds. So we have that copied here. Oh, activity date. That's a big thing that needs to be relative, is the date. Is we're going to be testing, like whenever we test this, we don't want to keep going back to a certain date. So let's do date equals Drupal date time. We'll use Drupal's date time. Now, I guess just new Drupal date time. Now, as we actually, why don't we do, we're going to do now. So one thing I was thinking is we could do like +1 day. But the problem is, what if the test runs on the 30th? Well, I guess it would show up. It would still show up if we did like +1 day. We'll just do today. We'll just say it's now. This activity date format. So let's just duplicate this. So that is, let's make this always at noon. Let's just have it always be at noon. And we need to replicate this date format. So if we do date format. Uh-oh. There we go. Oh, that is HB date. I'm not going to pretend that I know. Curious why this failed too. Probably because there's no test that ran. No test found. Yeah, that's why it failed. So we need year. What is it? Capital Y. So it's capital Y. I think it's lowercase d, lowercase m, and lowercase d. I guess I did know it after all. Day, lowercase d. So that should always have it be on today. So when we load the view, we should see the view. Let's do public function test calendar display. Actually, it's not. Let's just say test full calendar display. We'll start with the really basic test. Tricky to remember, I should have spent more time reviewing what was all added to the view. Just 1 second. I want to see what we can add to this. So date source is the current date. I guess we could update it to be a fixed value for the date, so that way we don't have to deal with that random changing time. So there's the start date, the end date, the title field is the subject. This should be fine. I think the only thing we changed was allowing to click on it, but that's not too important. So let's do... So let's get started. So we'll say this. We didn't do a Drupal login up here, did we? Can move that. We did do a Drupal login. Let's move that into the test. Wait. We do need it in the test because we enabled the types. So let's do Drupal get. So we're going to have our user visit this page, and to get started, let's just go real simple. Create screenshot, calendar.png. So I do this very often, where I end up just creating screenshots, dumping them, and see what happens. Like in here, where I take the various screenshots where it's setting up the relationship. I want to debate how far to go down this before I run the test and then have to blow away the database. So maybe we could... Let's test this. Maybe this needs to be a flag on the issues, but we're going to add the secondary database automatically. So that way I don't have to get rid of it. So let's go ahead, and since due to a few problems, I have to SSH into the container and run it. And that means I can't use that's why I have to take screenshots, because I can't have the headed browser to be visible to debug. So let's go ahead. We got Cvcrm entity test. This is functional source, functional JavaScript, views, activity full calendar view test. So it does take a bit to run. Let's see if it's going to throw an error at all. Because if it detects that the Cvcrm database has information in it, it prevents it from running to avoid data loss. So we're going to let this bootstrap a bit, and let's see, let's do ddev describe. I'm going to copy the database port so I can reconnect to it via PHP Storm. All right, so if this refreshes the schema, we'll see we've got all these tables here. We have some tables there, and the test might have tables in it. All right, there's no table, so we shouldn't get errors. If we weren't using the separate database, the test would fail because the main Cvcrm table has data in it, and we do not want to purge that. That is recorded somewhere in here. Oh, there we go. The database connection in simple test DB contains Cvcrm tables. Use a different database. I guess that runs regardless if you use the secondary one. Yep, it runs right there. So let's do, before we begin, let's do ddev snapshot name, snapshot help. name, we'll call it full calendar. So let's just take a snapshot of the database really quick so I can restore it. And the only reason I need to restore it is when I get to expanding that view to have more information on it. DDEV SSH. And let's go. Refresh here. Tables. Actually, let's do drop. You can drop all the tables. And then drop the routine. All right, there we go. So now this will work, or it'll start running. And we can get the first calendar screenshot. One thing it will also do is create browser output. Oh, what? Contains tables. Let's delete these. I'm going to delete this secondary database since I dropped it anyways. Let me clean up this browser output. To provide a database connection in... Oh, shoot. It's not even using this secondary one. There's a bug we fixed where it was creating these empty tables that weren't used. Let's hit OK. And that's causing a failure because it's doing a prefix, just a general like check. All right, let's run this again. Next time I should just change, maybe I should just change that and have the whole separate database table for everything that's test related. The only bummer is that this does take a bit. And I bet that snapshot was only of the... Oh, no. Okay, so just while we get this running, so when you do DDEV snapshot, it takes a snapshot of the entire volume from your database container. So I don't have to worry about the fact that I had different databases. It should do a full restore of the volume itself. So while that's running, this page, I'm not going to refresh it because I'll lose it. But what we want to try and figure out is how we can start testing this. So we need to assert that calendar view name. So we need to assert that we actually see the calendar. So we can do, let's go to the test. All right, we got an error. Let's do this. Full calendar equals this. Assert session. Assert element. Assert element present. This is assert legacy trait 2. We don't want that. Oh, it's element exists. Element exists. So CSS, and we're going to pass this selector, and that will, so element exists asserts that an element is present and actually returns it. So that way you can do further operations against it. Put that screenshot ahead of time, and let's look at this test. So configuration have unmet dependencies. Oh, taxonomy. So we need to update this to say we need the taxonomy module installed. And this is the part that's just absolutely horrible. That took 1.5 minutes about to run. And we got a test failure. We didn't get very far. And I have very few ideas on how we can speed this up. Because not only is it installing Drupal, but it's installing Cvcrm. And as far as I know, there isn't like a way to do like a lightweight installation of Cvcrm in this case. Because the Cvcrm module install, it calls install database and it runs the full gambit. And I don't think there's an easy way to limit that. There's some test code, but I'm not familiar with navigating the Cvcrm code base. It's a good mix of stuff that's been there forever and updates to make it like a modern PHP application. So I guess while this is running, I'm going to try to take a minute to see PHP unit v4 unit test case test data loader. So this I'm guessing this assumes that set up headless. So it drops all Cvcrm test schema. So maybe there is a way. Oh, what? What does this do? Set up headless function runs as the start of each test case right before the headless environment reboots. So when Cvcrm talks about headless, it means that there's no CMS integration. So that's it. So headless is just Cvcrm alone when it's end to end when it has a CMS attached to it. Putting the database in a consistent baseline. The utility provides a number of helper functions. Install me. What's in here? Man, this might be very beyond hard to simplify. Invalid permission administer views. Administer views. How is that an invalid permission? Oh, because it's defined by the views UI, and we're not enabling the views user interface. So we're going to run it again. Before, Drupal wouldn't error when there was an invalid permission, and now it does. So again, so we got to go back. I think we might be able to create a baseline that could be imported, and then we run updates against it. Maybe. But I'm always weary of the database baselines because then you have to run updates and well, I guess just update, no config import. So maybe it's not the worst thing. So once this gets through, I'm thinking it should be good now. Then we'll get a screenshot of the calendar and we should assert that the calendar exists, and we'll look at how we can find the event. So we should see I was wondering if it lists the time. I don't know how. Oh, so wait, hold on. What's the structure here? So content skeleton, table. Okay, so there's the table head, which data date has this here. do not. Let's go back to month. So it doesn't look like there's an easy way to get T body. So that's the head, T body. There's one row. So it just doesn't look like there's an easy way to assert that it's on the correct date. But we can at least do this. So the test passed. We're able to get the full calendar instance. And if we look at the screenshot, you'll see that we've got the calendar and it shows the meeting date. So let's get the event equals full calendar find. So we want to find by CSS. The event container. Let's see. Let's see. We'll run, actually what we'll do is we're going to do this assert session element exists. You can pass a container. So we want to assert that the element exists inside the full calendar. This assert session contains text, page contains, element contains. Element text contains. So we want to assert that the element text contains, based on this calendar, we should see 12 p.m. This assert section element contains. I wish I could just pass it a node. I feel like there's got to be a way to do that. Assert contains. What we could do, I guess, is xpath and then event get x. So we can say by xpath and we could say 12 p.m. But that's not exactly what we want because we know it's inside FC time. Let's see. Node element inside of here has attribute get xpath, has class. We can click, that's mouse over, drag. So there was a drag at least option. Maybe I'm just being too picky here and I should just do this where we say where we assert that this all exists and change this to be CSS. I'm going to say full calendar event container FC time, and then we want title to equal meeting about new seeds. We can assert that. Actually, what I want to do activity result ID how do we load let's do I want to save the activity so activity or else call it will range result I can't type. So result equals here. And we'll say this activity ID equals result ID. And let's add this property. Actually, I don't know its type. We'll just say the test activity. My idea is that way we could, when we test dragging it, it shows up. I really dislike the fact there's no good way to verify this shows up on the right time. Like we're verifying that it's on the calendar, but it's impossible to know that it's on the right event. Or to even be able to drag it to a different container. So I'm just kind of experimenting right now. So as soon as it hits over, so it looks like there's this skeleton that gets added, but then removed. Man, testing this is going to be a big old pain. Maybe full calendar, the module itself probably has some testing in it. Full calendar view, there's no tests. I guess let's just run this while I figure out the next steps. So I made that clickable. But there's a way to list more information. We could update it. I know it adds support for, I think that's it. That's the support that was added. We can change colors by tags. So maybe that's the next thing that should happen, is create some tags so that way we can update the colors. But I don't know how it saves this here. So let's look. Input color boxes, open. Terms. Title, taxonomy name value, default color. Taxonomy ID. So we'll have to do some generic guessing to make sure it works. So one thing that I'll have to do is update the full calendar view. Let's go drupal.org project full calendar view. And let's also go to test activity, drag and update. So we've got our event here. Let's see, what's the version? 5.2.1, 5.1. Let's look. Respect time zone setting. I need to figure out where the feature was added. Drag and drop sets time incorrect. 5.1. Full calendar color by user via taxonomy. So this was what was added. And this is one of the main things to test. Never mind. Color by several users. Here we go. So this allows, so this is the view that we're actually trying to recreate. Is it allows showing different users and coloring them by what user it is. And this is used by a clinic for their scheduling. So this has been added, and this is the one thing that needs to be tested. So this passed. All right, so it passed. Let's see now about trying to get this drag and drop tested. So there's the event calendar. Allow mouse resize. So the question I have, so it's okay, so grid day event. So we actually need this FC event. To be draggable. So if we do event drag to destination, other node. All right, let's see. Destination equals this assert session. We're going to do element exists again. So that way it fails if it doesn't. So CSS, we want to drag this to, oh, darn. I say oh darn because once again, relative dates. So let's see. Let's pick now. And what would be the next day here? So that's the body has no data in it. The header does. So I'm going to copy this, and if we went to the console and we did this operator works, but we got two results of the date. So I guess we'll have to be more specific. So TD. So it's that TD class and the number. So we need this. Okay, actually, I'm glad that we found this. So it's in the FC background. So then we want to look for, this is inside full calendar. So we want to do FC BG. We're going to make this be, flip the quotes. So FCBG with this date. And what we want to do is not now, but we're going to say -1 day. And we'll say previous day format. Let's rename this to be called previous day. Say formatted equals this up here, the YMD day. So previous day, and we'll copy it. And we're going to paste it into here. So destination is this header. I wonder if that doesn't really show, doesn't make any change, but I have a feeling that's probably where I'm hoping that's where this works. So we want to drag the event to the destination, and let's take a screenshot. But again, oh, wait a second. I actually don't know how alerts are handled. This get session page. let's run this and behat make handle alert box. Let's see, I'm going to clean up my tabs. How to handle JavaScript alert window. Oh, all right. Maybe we can do, okay. So you do this, get session, get driver equals, and if we go up the stack to WebDriver base, the driver class, this should be what we have. So driver will do assert driver instance of, I'll paste that. So I use an assert because now we're essentially telling, like, the assertion runs in the background and says, you know, this will exist and it's going to crash if it doesn't. But for PHP Storm, I can actually now perform actions against it. But I'm not seeing get content, get cookie. Oh, get WebDriver session, accept alert. So I have a feeling we're going to get a crash because the alert box is going to just hang and it's not going to know what to do. I cannot access. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, well, we are getting errors because it's not found in WebDriver interface because it's not there. You don't need to create a Selenium 2 driver for this method for behat 3. It should work if you do this. All this good driver. If driver instance of Selenium 2 driver, which this is what this extends. I guess that could be the one problem is we need to do a wait to make sure that the alert pops up in time. We've got one test that passed. Oh, I should have made this in the first one because now we have to wait for both tests to go through. We can see it's generating the output. Catch no alert open error. Support alert and prompt boxes. But again, my main concern is that this is empty text and there's no way to know that it's actually in the correct area. That's why I want to load the activity. That's why I want to stash that activity ID so we can load it. Let's go to, I don't even remember how to load one programmatically, but luckily that's all this module does. So let's go to source, entity storage, do delete field items, do save, do load multiple. Type this options, ID and IDs. Let's get the Cvcrm API. And activity equals Cvcrm API get. It should just be activity. I'm going to comment this out so I don't crash anything on accident. And go straight back to Cvcrm. And we are on the v3 of the API, activity test. So that's the entity, option value. Let's do get. Activity create. want to just find activity get. I want to load one. Call API success. No. Oh, shoot. There it is. Go back up one. So ID. I guess that's all there is to it. Is under the API, this API get, it does entity, action, get, and params. So we just need to pass this ID, this activity ID. Let's see if our test passed. Here we go. Unexpected alert open. All right, that's not entirely what I was expecting. So hold on here. Unexpected alert open. So 105. Drag 2. That brings us to the Selenium driver. Selenium 2 driver 207 or 942. So 942 execute on JS, which brings us to 207 somehow. 207 with this container. Abstract web driver. Let's see. This gets us 157. If status, if not success. Let's look at 218. This result. So that's what's going on. So basically, right here, it just threw the error. I want to figure out how we can let it know that we're expecting an alert. 234. Let's look at 234. That just does a call. And then we're back to Selenium 2 driver at 207. Before that at 942. Let's try this. Let's do and we're going to catch the unexpected alert open and accept it there. Now let's do a search for this. I feel like there's got to be a way to say like it's handled. How to handle unexpected alert open. That should do the trick. So yeah, okay. So they alert is alert present. Accept alert. Dismisses alert. Accepts it. Gets the text. Let's just see if that works. And what I'm going to do is add a, to make sure we only run this, so I'm going to do group and debug. This is a common thing I do if I'm trying to just run one method. So I say group debug. We should run just this one test. If you're using any frameworks, this is all Java, so it is a pain to figure out. Chrome driver, Codeception, maybe. And here we go. Codeception. That's a PHP one. unexpected alert behavior, accept. Well, I don't want to just blindly accept it. I see in pop-up. I see in pop-up capabilities, unexpected alert. No. That didn't help out. Oh, man, and because it had an unexpected error, we have tables on tables. Let me delete that. All right, let's run this again. Selenium throws an exception when it detects an unhandled alert. So I'm hoping this catches it, because if it's throwing an unexpected alert open, then we should be able to handle it. I'm hoping that this fixes it, where we it throws the exception, we handle, and then we close it, and it can continue. I'm not sure how else we could click on it, because we just have accept alert, and or dismiss. I'm going to stop that search. So let's actually check if anything in the code has accept alert. Browse it with JavaScript test. Oh, all right. So session. Wait, Drupal get with alert. Wait a second. Retrieves Drupal with that. There are 2 alerts. Why did it crash for me? What is this URL? Test unescaped JavaScript. Alert mark safe. What? Why does this one work? WebDriver based test. Test JavaScript. Test assert.js condition. How come this doesn't crash? Let's get driver, get WebDriver session. That's weird. Commands test. Oh, hey, it passed. All right. I don't know why we received an exception. Oh, here it is. Wait. Page, wait for get alert text. Wait for the alert button to appear. Ooh, let's copy that. I wonder if it's just because it happens so fast. But let's look at calendar.png. So it looks like it did not move it to the day before. Let's copy. So we'll do the, let's move this out. And this. Where did I copy that from? So page and session. I'll do this here, which actually we can do this get session. We don't need to pass that there. So this get session, get page. Let's again do, let's try this. And then I actually have to head out soon. But I want to see if this one goes. How long did that last take? 3.19 minutes. All right. I'm going to see where this gets me and then sign off. But it gets a little bit closer. I like the fact that we can assert the alert text. Because I like that we could verify that this says certain text now. But I wish that the accept alert would have moved it but maybe what I need to do is then also say this assert session wait on Ajax request. Maybe we need to wait for the Ajax request to complete too. That will make a difference right now, but it's at least something to try out next time. So this way I can at least push that. Come on. This is why I wish I could run it on my host, but something was getting weird, and that's why. Actually, I probably could run Chrome Driver on my host and connect to the DDev instance instead of running it inside of. So there's something I know on my end when I ran PHP unit on my host, even though it was told to go access inside of DDev, it got weird. Like even if I set the base URL and the database URL, there's something odd was happening. All right, where did this fail? Unexpected alert open, but why? So let's to do. I'm putting a to do here. What method is this? Why doesn't blah fail? Seriously, why doesn't this? Assert wait for page contains. Press button. Wait for alert text. Why? What am I missing? Modules, theme, WebDriver based test, Disable CSS animation. Like, what am I missing? That lets it page press button. Yeah, what? Move this up for now, just to help keep everything type hinted. Except alert. So where did this happen? It happened in commands test and in here. So copy the reference. All right, I'm just gonna make a commit for this, and then like I said, I have to run. I don't need that line. And I don't need to fix that in here. So make a commit, add test of full calendar output, and dragging to modify. Let's commit anyway. Let's push that. And then what I want to do is composer update Drupal full calendar view. I want to get that updated so that way I can test out the user thing, the user tag coloring later on. So that's somewhere in here. Supposed to be plugin. Oh, okay. Well, should be in there, but I'm not seeing it. But at least I got this pushed up. Thanks for tuning in. I hope that was somewhat interesting as I got some of this testing going. And I know I learned a little bit right here, but I have no idea why I can't tell it to expect this to open up. Maybe it's because I'm doing a drag to. I really don't understand core driver, mouse manipulation, Selenium 2 driver, drag to, HTML, dispatch event, execute on JS with, so this right here is with sin. This is what caused an error. Right? If I go $157, so it was $218. Execute 157. Like, why? This result. So, oh, it's when closing that session. I don't know. But thanks for tuning in, and have a good weekend.